BabyBus.
Snow White. On a snowy winter, a beautiful queen was making a wish.
Oh, I wish to give birth to a beautiful princess with skin as white as snow.
A few months later, the queen gave birth to a beautiful little princess. Everyone called her
Snow White! Snow White!
Unfortunately, the queen died not long after. The king married a new queen.
I'm so beautiful. I'm the absolute 100% most beautiful person in the world.
The new queen had a magical mirror. Every morning, the new queen asked the magic mirror,
Oh, magic mirror, who is the most beautiful person in the world?
Of course it's you, my queen.
When Snow White grew up, everyone said,
Snow White is the most beautiful person in the world.
When the new queen heard that, she was furious.
Humph! I am the most beautiful person in the world.
She took out the magic mirror again and asked,
Oh, magic mirror, who is the most beautiful person in the world?
I'm the most honest magic mirror. Snow White is the most beautiful person in the world.
Loathsome Snow White! I'm going to turn you into an ugly girl. Ugh.
The bad queen busied herself in the cellar for 3 days and 3 nights. She cooked a green, bubbling soup in a huge cauldron.
When Snow White drinks this magic potion, she'll turn into a pig.
The bad queen ladled a bowl of soup and told the old servant to take it to Snow White. The old servant was a kind person. He didn't want to see Snow White turned into a pig. He told Snow White secretly,
My princess, leave the palace quickly. The wicked queen wanted me to give you this magic potion to turn you into a pig. It's too dangerous for you to stay in the palace. Hurry and flee, and go as far away as you can.
Hearing the old servant's words, Snow White was terrified. She ran deep into the woods. When she became thirsty, she wanted to drink some water from a pond. A crocodile nearby bit her nose off. She ran and ran until she was so tired she wanted to rest under a tree. But she was nearly entangled by a vine on the tree.
Why isn't there a place for me in the palace? The woods are full of danger too. Where can I go?
In the end, tired and hungry, Snow White came to a small wooden house.
Who lives so deep in the woods?
Curious, Snow White pushed the door open. On the table were 7 cups and 7 plates. There was milk in every cup and a small piece of bread on every plate. There were also 7 small beds in the room. Tired and hungry, Snow White took a sip from every cup and ate a bite of bread from every plate. Then she fell asleep on the 7th bed. Actually, this little wooden house belonged to 7 dwarves. The dwarves only came up to Snow White's knees. They had long ears like the fairies, and they liked to wear colorful hats. They lived in the woods, digging for diamonds in the caves during the day and coming home to the wooden house at night. That night, they came home and discovered the door to their wooden house open. Achoo! Why's the door open?
Has a monster entered our house?
The 7 dwarves tiptoed into the house. Achoo! Someone has drunk some of my milk.
Someone has taken a bite out of my bread. I'm afraid it's a greedy monster.
Snoring sounds came from the 7th bed. Achoo! I see the monster sleeping on the bed. The 7 dwarves surrounded the 7th bed. The bravest dwarf peeled back the blanket. All the dwarves held their breath. Oh, dear!
Wow! This is not a monster. It's a beautiful princess.
At this time, Snow White woke up. She opened her eyes and looked. There were 7 dwarves surrounding her bed.
So, this house belongs to the 7 dwarfs? Let me guess your names. The one who blushes all the time is Bashful. The one who sneezes all the time must be Sneezy. And the smallest one is Dopey.
Achoo! You're right. You guessed right. But who are you?
I'm Snow White.
Achoo! Snow White? The Snow White from the palace? Oh, honorable princess, why did you come here?
The bad queen wants to turn me into a pig, so I fled the place. Will you let me stay here for a while? I can make apple pies for you.
Achoo! Apple pies? Yay! Yes, stay here with us. So, Snow White stayed with the 7 dwarves for the time being. They played, ate apple pies, and danced in the woods every day. They were very happy. The bad queen thought the old servant had turned Snow White into a pig. That day, she casually asked the magic mirror,
Oh, magic mirror, am I the most beautiful person in the world now?
Respectable queen, the most beautiful person in the world is still Snow White.
Nonsense! Snow White has already turned into a pig. How can she be more beautiful than me?
Snow White didn't turn into a pig head. She's staying with the 7 dwarves now. Look, see how happy they are?
Through the magic mirror, the bad queen saw Snow White and the 7 dwarves playing hide and seek and dancing in the woods. She clenched her fists in anger.
Watch out, Snow White! I won't let you off this time!
The bad queen put a red apple into a magic potion, and it turned into a poisonous apple. The bad queen disguised herself as an old woman, and carrying the apple, she walked towards the 7 dwarves' house. Snow White was making apple pies in the kitchen.
Please, pity this old woman. Will someone buy my apples?
Snow White looked and saw an old woman selling apples outside the house.
Beautiful girl, please pity me, an old woman. Will you buy this apple from me? My apples are good for making apple pies.
The kind Snow White saw the poor old woman and wanted to help her.
This apple looks delicious. It must be very sweet.
Sweet and crisp. If you don't believe me, take a bite. Try it.
But Snow White knew that the old woman was the bad queen in disguise. She only pretended to take a bite of the poisonous apple. The bad queen broke into a roaring laughter.
Ha ha ha! I'm finally the most beautiful person in the world.
While the bad queen was laughing with her mouth hanging wide open, Snow White quickly stuck the poisonous apple into her mouth. Gulp! The bad queen swallowed the poisonous apple.
My ears are a little itchy.
Bang! The bad queen's ears turned into a pig's ears.
My nose is a little itchy.
Bang! The bad queen's nose turned into a pig's snout.
Oh no, my backside feels a little itchy.
Bang! The bad queen's backside grew into a pig's tail. The bad queen took out a mirror and looked. She had turned into a pig. She was frightened crazy by her own ugly appearance. Ah! She screamed and threw the mirror down. She ran into the deepest part of the woods and hid in a cave. She never dared to harm Snow White again. Snow White brought the 7 dwarfs with her to the palace, and they lived happily ever after.